Okay, welcome to Messenger Motorworks. We're going to do a sketchy little project for the Saab. That is cleaning up these wheels a bit and hitting them with some of this. So this is a little trick that I do on budget cars to freshen up the wheels. Obviously a wheel like this, it's had brake dust eating away at its clear coat and has things stuck into it. There's scrapes and scratches from different things. As per the usual with the Saab, I'm not looking for anything particularly special out of it. I'm just looking to not see little rust spots and scratches and things when I walk up to my car when I'm in a parking lot, just little things that irritate me. This solution isn't super permanent, but I've found it to be a pretty good one when it comes to just, you know, having a little winter beater. The idea is, at first, you want to scuff the paint so the new stuff will stick to some extent, and then also clean up the rough surfaces in between the spokes. For that, I typically will use 600 grit 3M sandpaper. That is harsh enough generally to take off some of the rough things, and then, but not too harsh to gouge the surface, so it'll still feel pretty smooth to the touch, and it should scuff it enough to let the paint stick. So I'm gonna kind of finish the scuffing job here, and then we'll go about cleaning it up and painting it and taping it, of course, because we don't want any paint on our Firestone Firehawks here. So here we go. Windex is a nice cleaner in this particular case because it'll help the towel kind of absorb the dust, and it typically evaporates with not too much residue or anything behind, which you don't want when you're spraying on paint, because the paint can react to different sorts of chemicals. So I've kind of grown used to using Windex in cases like this. You can use other like alcohol-based cleaners and such to kind of get this job done, but you know, Windex is always around the home, and this should dry nice and ugly, which, general rule of thumb, a prepped surface is always ugly. Now, as long as you don't actually spray the tire directly with the paint, any overspray typically rubs off the rubber really easily. So if you get a little overspray or dust onto it, that'll wipe off once it dries. But if you directly spray, that's typically going to be too heavy to be able to wipe off, and you'll be sitting there with mineral spirits or acetone or whatever kind of takes this paint off. Frustrated with yourself. Make sure you tape off your valve stem. And there it is. We are ready to spray some paint. Again, not an excellent permanent solution, but I'm always surprised at how well this turns out. After I am done with it. Definitely makes the wheels look like much better 6 to 10 foot nice looking wheels. So yeah, shots, there we go. All right, first a misting and then a second go where it's a little heavier. hard to get down into the areas where the real ugliness is without too many runs, rather, that English. Okay, that's going to be the first dusting. We're going to wait a bit and then get a little bit more detailed with trying to get down into the crevices. It's very, very difficult when you're trying to get into these pockets to not have the paint run. And we definitely don't want that. So we'll let this settle for a little bit and pick it up in maybe 5-10 minutes or so. Having some issues getting down really into the space. This kind of paint really, there's an emphasis on restore. It's best sprayed on a like color because this kind of paint from DupliColor, while excellent for wheels, it dries nice and hard, doesn't cover well because it's really meant, it does best over a similar color. So it's covering really nicely where the wheel was already silver, but down into the spots where the wheel is kind of stained, it's struggling down there. We are going to implement a clear coat to kind of get some of the sheen back, because I think this wheel does best when it's a little bit shiny. But so far, going on relatively well. I am getting some splatter on my wheel, or on my tire here, but it does, you know, really kind of wipe away pretty easily. So I'm kind of just go around it a little bit here. And I'll probably have to use a little bit of acetone. I think for some of that round there, my nozzle was clogged and was spattering, but no worries. Still looking all right. We'll keep this train going. All right, so I've got about as much paint as I'm gonna put on this thing. I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. I'll show it before and after when we're all done. I'm gonna get some clear coat sprayed on this. Something sticky on this can. We'll kind of touch and go how the clear coat turns out. I don't know how many coats I'm going to put on. I guess it'll kind of depend. All right, this one's got some left in it. So here we go. There is no perfect method I've discovered for this. It just kind of is what it is. Get it on there as evenly as possible. Try not to overdo it. And then let her sit for a while again. So just for the record, we are on 3 coats of paint, 1 coat of clear at this point. The clear typically starts to settle down somewhat evenly as it dries. I think we're already kind of getting to an okay place. So probably just going to be 2 coats of clear, but we'll see. All right, so 3 coats of paint, 2 coats of clear coat. This stuff dries pretty quickly and hard. I mean, the job looks better than it was. Final touch, got the old plastic center cap there that the logos like to fall off of. Thanks to the wonders of eBay and China, and unfortunately waiting a month and a half to get things, especially in this climate. Stickered Saab logos. I hate a logo that's fallen off. I can't stand the look of like a broken looking wheel cap. So I'm going to try to stick this on here. This isn't actually looking too promising, unfortunately. I think it's too big. So I'm not sure how long that's going to hold. That's unfortunate. Well, anyway, snap that there into the center. Put a little more pressure on that. Hopefully it sticks for some period of time. Take the wheel up for the sake of you folks. And then I'll bring over another wheel for comparison's sake and for my own sake, so I can actually visually see that this wasn't a complete waste of time. And there are the two wheels. To get some close-up in here. There we are on the new wheel. Well, new wheel. Newly, freshly painted wheel. And here we are on the old wheel. You know, it can get tiring seeing that nastiness inside of the spokes and whatnot, not having a nice Saab center cap. Whereas now, when we approach the car, we'll get to see that. That is much more pleasing. You know, for you know, maybe $30 worth of paint for your whole car, maybe 40 bucks. Spray paint's getting kind of expensive these days. You know, well worth it, I think. So there we are. That's how you freshen up an old wheel. All right. See you next time.